So I thought it was about time I took the cupboards and the wooden flooring out of the van. I've known for a while that the floor on this has been going a little bit rotten. I thought now was the perfect opportunity. So this is currently completely bare inside. This is a pretty bad area, of course. I think this was rear-ended at some point. These are all patch panels and they've rotted through. Managed to put my screwdriver through there as well. There's lots of little holes like this. There's actually 17 of them in total. They're going to be easy to fix. They're just little patch panels, no problem. The worrying thing mostly is these two holes at the front of the wheel arches, because you can see suspension components through there. That's the shock there. That's one of the rear shocks, and same on this side as well. Contacted my welder. I do have a professional welder for this kind of thing. He's taken a look at this. He's going to be repairing these crucial areas here, but he's encouraged me to fix all the rest, and I'm going to take on this as well. So this is going to be the biggest part of this job that I'm going to take on, and I'm going to start off by cutting out a load of rust. Okay, so I've roughly marked out where I think pretty good metal is. I'm going to cut around here, up here, along there to cut out this old patch panel out. That's what the welder told me to do. And then it gets a bit complicated around here. I'm going to remove this whole thing and just chop out as much as I can. We'll see when we get to it. So I've managed to clean this up pretty good now. This is going to be fine all around the edges here. That's got nice shiny metal to weld to. This area is a little bit complicated here. That's raised quite a lot there. That's where a previous welder's been. I tried to cut down there, but that's too, it goes deeper there, the metal does. It's like a lot of overlap there. I'm going to chop along this line nice and neatly, and then just butt the sheet metal up against it there. For the back here, this whole area is quite rusty, but it's not as bad as I thought. That's not rotten all the way through. From the outside, that actually looks completely fine. There's no rust from the outside. So I'm just going to treat and repaint this area for now. That's going to be a massive job to rebuild all that. What I'm going to be doing is making an extension to this wheel arch down here. I'm going to rebuild that and weld it in, and then I'll weld in a flat floor panel there afterwards. Okay, while the Q-Rust is drying, I'm going to get some cardboard and try and cut out a template for this rear section of the wheel arch. Okay, so after spilling my tea all over this, I've finally cut out a template that's going to bend round like there. That round the edge there. There is a slight amount of overlap, just a couple of millimeters, and what I'm going to do now is get this cut out of sheet metal. I've got some 1.5mm mild steel, and then we'll try and form this to the right shape before welding it on. Right, just going to start bending it a little bit that way, and then bend this end bit round here. First random try. Let's see if that's anywhere near close. Too bad. Need to bend that a little bit more at this point here. Other than that, that's pretty close. So that's just about in place there. I'm happy with that. I'm going to tack it on the few places where the metal's nice and close. Any slight gaps like that, I'll just hammer that to bend the metal to the right form after it's tacked in place. Well, there you have it. Not the prettiest looking welds. I am not a professional welder, as you might have guessed. I was trying it on heat setting 4, but I kept burning through, so I did most of it on 3. Didn't do anything around the back there. That's a bit of a funny surface, that. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that, but I'm probably going to end up welding that from the back. As you can see, it's going to be easy to lay some extra beads on this side, just give it some extra strength. And that's where I'm going to try and weld this edge a little bit. I'll probably fill that, might fill it with another bit of metal or something. But I'll do that after I've welded in the floor panel there. I'll take the wheel off and I'll just go around the whole thing from the underneath. The thing that I'm going to do next is I'm just going to put some paint on all this surface that I've treated here. You can see it's turned black from the coup rust, and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, just cut out 2 more holes. I'm going to be patching them in as well. What I'm going to move on to with this is chopping out a cardboard template for this now. I won't bore you with that, I'll show you when it's done. Well, there's the piece. It's taken me about an hour just to get this completely right, or as good as I can. Got a couple of notches out there, that slots in to where the curve of this is. But that pretty much just snaps into place there. Hopefully I'm going to have some nice strong welds down here, 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 here. This back section here is just a bent piece of thin rusty metal. That's not going to provide a strong weld. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and get it as close to the metal as I can and just put some very light welds there so I don't burn through it, and then fill it with sealant, tiger seal, something like that. Yeah, that's good enough for me. I'm going to tack it into place. pretty sure I've run out of gas. Let's have a look. Yeah, complete dud. I'm going to change that. So that's all welded up now. Not the greatest looking welds. Like I said before, I'm not a welder. I'm pretty happy that that's solid. It's certainly a lot better than the rust that was there before. I did just weld there. It's really ugly, but I had quite a big gap to fill. These two didn't turn out too bad. All right, managed to bend that. And that one there's alright as well. With this being the floor, and this is going to have the wooden flooring on top of this, there are some high points from my ugly welding, so I'm going to have to grind these down. It'll make them look a little bit better as well. So that's it. That's a job reasonably well done, in my opinion. All three of those. I think you'll agree that looks a lot better than it did before. I'll just put a comparison photo here. And the last thing to do is just to pop some sealant on here around my welds, just to make sure that plugs up any gaps. I'll do that on all three of them. I'll have to do that tomorrow because I've got to let this paint dry first overnight. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If anyone has any comments or suggestions for anything I can do to improve, please comment below. I am new to welding, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Okay, just an update. It's a week later, and I've patched up all of these. 17, like I said, in total, I think. I mean, they're not professional jobs, but good enough for the moment. Really, it needs a whole new floor in. I was talking to the welder. He said at some point chop the whole thing out and just weld a new floor in. Unfortunately, at the moment I can't seem to find anything online, so I'm just patching it up. That's a job for another day. It's come back from the welders. He's done the suspension mounting areas, nicely welded up there. He had to do a little bit more around the mounting points, so hopefully that's good for a good few years now. Also managed to weld this at the front here. This column here was hidden by the plastic cover there, and when I removed that as part of my investigation, I found this. I'll just put a picture of it. Yeah, that had rotten through because this has been leaking from around the windscreen for years. I've now stopped that leak with a lot of Tiger Seal. I've managed to weld this up all right, all the way around. I've sort of rebuilt the column, had to cut it, almost all of it out. The lighting's a bit rubbish here, but managed to rebuild this for the rubber seal to go on. I'm pretty pleased with this. It was quite a difficult job. This took me about 2 days. The bad news is I decided to remove the insulation and carpets. The carpets were all stuck to the walls, which is why I was reluctant to remove them. As you can see, it's got all the residue left there. But what I've found is this wheel arch is pretty much rotting from the inside. Like I said, this has been in an accident at some point. All of these are patch panels. This is a previous patch panel. The inner wheel arch is completely rusted. I had no idea at all, because it looks absolutely fine to me from the outside. I think the main lesson I've learned from this is before you decide to take on any project or start any job, make sure that you've thoroughly investigated everything first, just to make sure you've got a good scale of what's actually going to be involved. If I'd have discovered all of this before I started that and all the rest of them, I might have decided to abandon the whole project. But yeah, that's what I've learned for next time. But that's my next job. I've got a new wheel arch quarter panel there on order, and an inner wheel arch as well. It's going to be an even bigger job than this. The welder's left his coffee mark there on my new job. Yeah, anyway, I'll call it a day for this video. Not sure if I'm going to film doing that. I'm a bit sick of filming really, I just want to get the job done for the moment. And I call it a day. Cheers.